Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show. And there is no mucking around here at the start, okay, because patch 9.2 has now hit the World of Warcraft vendor CDN. You don't know what that means, do you? Oh, man. Okay, it's an encrypted version of the 9.2 PTR, which is usually uploaded about a week before the PTR itself goes live. So, for example, 9.1's encrypted vendor build was uploaded on April the 8th, with the actual playable 9.1 PTR going live on April the 13th. This means it is highly likely that this coming week, we will have an announcement reveal for 9.2, Jeremy Fiesel in a dark room, you know, the sort of thing, along with the very first PTR build, which, okay, like, do you mind, can I just... Because I think it is fair to say that is earlier than expected, and yes, it's not certain by any means. For a start, WoW Classic's Season of Mastery is looming on the immediate horizon and set to launch on November the 16th, and I definitely assumed, I think many of us did, that we'd be waiting for that to be live and settled before there was any movement on the 9.2 radar. But Ian did say in his VentureBeat interview last week that we'd be hearing more about 9.2 soon. But, you know, there's soon and there's soon. And this coming week would be actually soon rather than like Blizzard soon. So, okay, Internet, I'm going to do something now. Something for you. I'm going to make a sacrifice because you've been really good to me and good to this channel. You've kept on watching even when WoW news has been thin on the ground. Our patrons, Nazoth bless their souls, have continued to support us, and our Twitch community have continued to tune in and sub. Some of you even watched some of our Final Fantasy videos, and all that means an awful lot. And I appreciate it, and this is my way of paying you back. Because here's the thing. I don't know if 9.2 is being revealed this week. I don't know if the PTR will hit this week or no. What I do know is that if I call this video something like, is 9.2 PTR coming? And then if I put a section in this video where I'm all like, is 9.2 PTR coming soon? Then Blizzard are contractually obligated to reveal 9.2 and open the PTR as soon after my video goes live as they are possibly able, so as to make my new episode of the Weekly Reset, the one that I give up my entire weekend to make, where I could be playing with my son, or even better, Evitel is playing with my son and I get drunk on Japanese whiskey. Blizzard are bound by honor to make this video that I've put my heart and soul and blood and sweat into as out of date as soon as possible. Blizzard won't be able to help themselves. They will have to reveal the new patch and release the PTR, rendering all of this work, the hours of writing and recording and editing, absolutely bloody useless. Costing me money from views, yes, but more importantly, making me look very stupid indeed, and meaning that the entire comment section will be full of people saying things like, oh, lol, Taliesin is an idiot, Blizzard already did the 9.2 PTR, this video is stupid and Taliesin is a bad person. Instead of like, wow, nice jacket Taliesin, also your new haircut isn't quite as awful as I first thought, like the comments should be. It happens pretty much every time, I promise. And for you, because I want you to have the 9.2 PTR, and because I want you to have the 9.2 announcement, for that reason, I would like to introduce you to the next segment. Is 9.2 PTR coming soon? No, don't be silly. Of course not. Okay, so the encrypted vendor build might be up, and WoW devs might have started tweeting about it excitedly on Twitter, and all the evidence is pointing to the fact that there will be an announcement, probably hours after this video goes live, but no, I don't think it will. We won't get an announcement until after Season of Mastery, and a playable PTR until much later. That's definitely my real opinion, which I definitely think. Wow, I really hope Blizz don't do it this week, like hours after this video goes live, making me look really stupid and costing me money that I need to feed my son and buy whiskey. So, now I've absolutely guaranteed that 9.2 will be revealed this week. It means this is our last chance to get in some proper 9.2 predictions right now. And man, you know I live for this shit, so let's go. Firstly, I think the name will be Reality's End, mostly because...
Be the first to witness reality's end.
Yeah. I think it's probably going to be what we might usually expect from a 0.3 patch, as detailed in the video that we made on that subject, which means a new zone, which I guess will be the oft-mentioned Zerith Mortis, which, okay, isn't exactly going to get all the pulses racing in anticipation and WoW lore salvation goodness like Argos or Nazjatar or Nyalotha, but does at least have the opportunity to look very different from anything we've seen in Shadowlands so far. The Jailer's big gold clockworky first one style portal probably being a good indication aesthetically. Story-wise, there's obviously going to be a big focus on Sylvanas and whatever her deal is now, and whereas I wouldn't expect a cinematic this week, I wouldn't be surprised if it does feature our first real hint of Arthas in the Shadowlands story too. Features-wise, I wouldn't expect there to be much revolutionary, but there is of course going to be the much-hyped return of tier sets in whatever form they take, in whatever the new raid is. What's the betting that Anduin will be one of the big bosses in that raid? The term uncover the secrets of the first ones will definitely be said, and wildcard prediction, there's going to be something very cool about Dark Rangers. Yeah, I know, it's a wildcard. I'm allowed a wildcard. That's my prediction bingo card. I look forward to seeing how we did next week, except it won't be next week because of course the reveal and PTR will definitely not be this week. Of course, an alternative is that actually Blizz absolutely are going to power through all of the planned patches and next expansion be damned, and if that's the case, then 9.2 might actually turn out to be a little bit smaller than we're expecting. Maybe without a new zone, which would certainly explain why the PTR seems to be appearing much earlier than we dared hope. Honestly, a small stopgap 9.2 would not be at all what the community wants right now, and frankly would be a massive sell. So I hope if that's the case, Jeremy Fiesel really is wearing his biggest, happiest smile throughout the whole presentation, you know? An absolute best case scenario that I've seen bandied around is that Blizz will take the chance to announce 9.2 and the new expansion which will supposedly follow it. If everything about the world and Shadowlands patch cadence had been normal up until this point, then it is this week, right now, that we would be expecting the new expansion announcement at BlizzCon. And that's not impossible, in the same way that Zack Snyder making a superhero movie that isn't just 4 hours of Jesus imagery and grey wash isn't impossible, it's just pretty unlikely and not really something you should get your hopes up for, in my opinion. That theory of the 9.2 and next expansion simultaneous reveal was born mostly from Ian's VentureBeat interview, where he said 9.2 is coming. You'll be hearing more about that soon. We do have more planned after that, but it's hard to say too much without almost spoiling some of the story that's going to come. We'll have a lot of details on that soon, but we want to be able to explain it in the full context of what 9.2 is going to be. The reasoning being, I guess, 9.2 is going to be something we weren't expecting. And if there were going to be a 9.3, if that was something being worked on, why not just say so? This interview, by the way, came out hours after the last episode of the weekly reset. You see what I mean? And therefore is, I accept, old news at this point, but I feel like I want to talk about it though, because there's a general opinion with regards to this interview, which I agree with in some parts and strongly disagree with in others. One of the big headlines was that Ian seems suddenly very open to the idea of cross-faction raid groups, and by extension, I guess, raid guilds, and by extension, I guess, dungeon groups, and general everyday gameplay. I'm getting carried away. But we know Ian by now, and this response from him is confirmation that on some level, this absolutely will be something that happens in the future. Horde and Alliance raiding together, mass hysteria. Oh man, I do not envy the dev whose job it is to untangle that spaghetti code and make that work. That was of course something that got the player base very excited, and rightfully so. Cross-faction play is something that I think has become the desire of a solid and increasingly vocal majority of the player base over the last few years. A raid group consisting of Alliance and Horde characters, which isn't just half the group wearing mercenary masks, but canonically the two factions working together. Yeah, I am absolutely ready for that new era of WoW play. I think the game is ready for that, so get on it, Spaghetti Untangler, make Make it happen. Don't work too hard. Take rest. Unionize. Public reaction to the rest of the Ian interview, though, wasn't quite so enthusiastic. Same old fishing story. How often are they going to pull this mea culpa bullfish? Heard it all before. Every single word. Absolute clown, game lead. Should be fired. Shit game, shit company. And I have a fair bit of sympathy for this take, honestly. The Blizz cycle of this was wrong, we'll get it right next time, is as comfortable and familiar as an old sweater at this point. But I disagree with the take that this particular interview is full of stuff that we've heard before. For a start, I think it was really important that Ian, as game lead, publicly addressed the recent removal of certain items, references, and names from the game. We categorically have not heard that before, which was frankly starting to get a little bit weird, and it is really good, I think, that he did that here. It's kind of his job to do that. And as far as making promises goes, there's a certain paragraph for me that stands out. A lot of what goes into 915 isn't a one-off. It's a reflection of us changing a lot of the underlying philosophies that have motivated our approach to designing WoW. A lot of these things are outgrowths of lessons that were taught to us by our predecessors, by the founders and leaders of the team, about the importance of meaningful choice, the importance of preserving character investment that may have led us to not being friendly to alt gameplay and people's ability to get caught up on their alts. The reality is, the way people play the game has evolved. What was the right answer for the WoW player base and for the game 15 years ago may not be today. There's some stubbornness, but clinging to those old lessons, some things are hard to let go of when your training and education as a designer and a developer on the team led to having these things instilled in you. There's a lot that you can say about this. Is there an element of passing the buck, of blaming the previous founding devs and their blueprint on the problems of today? Kind of, absolutely, yeah. But is it the same old shit that we've heard Ian say before? No, it really is not. And whether you think he's right or wrong about needing to unlearn 15 years of game theory that has been instilled into the team, and personally, I'd carefully say he's mostly right. Whether you think he's telling the truth or not, and hey, I'd understand whatever side of that fence you come down on, but it's definitely not the same old shit that we've heard 1,000 times before, which is why I disagree with that as a criticism. I actually really liked this interview for what it was, and yeah, maybe Ian is just telling us what we want to hear with no intention of delivering on that revolutionary, fresh approach to developing WoW, free from the constraints of an old team with an extremely long shadow, but who now, almost conveniently in a way, turned out to be a bunch of sex pests and sex pest enablers. There's evidence that supports the idea Ian means what he's saying in the existence of 915, which I was not expecting to be playing that much of before Legion Timewalking, but which I found surprisingly engaging, mostly because a lot of what Ian describes in the interview is present in this patch, in spades. I have sunk a lot more time into 915 than I was expecting to this week, so yeah, sorry about the Monday reset, but yeah. And there's a whole bunch of new long and midterm goals that now exist for me to do in my own time, which is all most of us ever really want from World of Warcraft, to be honest. And if 915 really isn't a one-off, as Ian assures us it isn't, then frankly, there is a lot to be hopeful for about 9.2 and the next expansion. Hopeful, wow, that's a word we haven't been using a lot of recently, is it? Kind of feels good. One thing I do want to raise again while I'm here, Legion Timewalking. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I really do have a bee in my bonnet about this. If there is anything that can be described as content in 915, then it's the Legion Mythic Plus and Resurrected Mage Tower that come from the new Timewalking event, due to last 2 weeks, beginning on the 7th of December in NA Realms. Now, I made a very public plea to Blizzard in the last episode to keep that Timewalking event, or at the very least the Mage Tower part of it, open until 9.2 releases, for the sake of having something genuinely fun to lots of people to bop in the wait for that patch. And this week, with the news that Final Fantasy XIV's new Endwalker expansion has been delayed until December the 7th, you know, I think I'm going to repeat that plea, but this time in black and white and with sad music. Blizz, you know I love you. That's not actually true. I kind of hate you, what with the whole harassment and discrimination thing and the whole union busting thing and the whole evil corporation thing. But I do love World of Warcraft and a lot of the people that work on it. And so I'm here to say, Legion Timewalking sounds really fun. Legion Mythic Plus is a brilliant idea. Timewalking Mage Tower is a dream come true. It would have been cool anyway, but it's extra cool because, it's like the only even slightly new content that we're going to see in the live game for the rest of 2021. But it's good, is what I'm saying, and it deserves to be enjoyed and played by as many people as possible. You deserve to see as many people enjoying it as possible, and WoW players deserve to be able to enjoy it fully. And here's the thing, having it live for only 2 weeks, and the first same 2 weeks that Endwalker releases, I don't think that's a win for anyone. So this is me asking you politely and with very high production value, to consider keeping Legion Timewalking open until 9.2 launches. 2021 has been a tough year for WoW players and devs alike. For whatever reasons, there have been delays and droughts and a whole lot of hurdles for you and the community at large to overcome. And basically, I think we all deserve a treat. In my opinion, that treat should obviously come in the form of playable Tuskar, but on the assumption that you're saving that for the next expansion, Rise of the Tuskar, which is understandable, I think bending the rules on the way that Timewalking works just this once would be something we would all appreciate. And I'm confident that it's not just me. Check the comments of this video where other players who feel the same are all showing their support for the idea by writing #yeah, the Timewalking thing sounds good. Oh yeah, by the way, please comment #yeah, the Timewalking thing sounds good. Thanks. There is already a sense that you're listening and making up for lost time with 9.15, and that you're having fun doing so, and that's awesome. Being able to play the Mage Tower and have access to an extra 8 dungeons in Mythic Plus until the real new content arrives would be a really great way of putting fun before past design philosophy, like you say you're trying to do. I have no good way of ending this segment, so while I have your attention, #Rise of the Tuskar, #Playable Tuskar, #Female Tuskar Moustache Options. Okay, bye. There's actually been some game stuff happening this week too, what with the patch going live and everything. So, as usual, I'm going to point you to the video description now, where not only will you find links to Wowhead articles that go into more detail on everything that we covered in this episode, but also their really good guide to Renown catch-up in 9.15, which I think you will probably like. But before you go and do that, we have a big announcement. Do you know what? I was actually considering not doing an episode of the Weekly Reset this week. Well, we had 3 episodes of the Weekly Reset last week.
It's true.
3 episodes, Evitel. I was like, that's us for 2 months. But here we are, because I'm certain, absolutely certain, that the 9.2 reveal is imminent.
It's coming.
This week. So obviously I had to get predictions out. And the result of that is that it's caught us a little bit flat-footed on a couple of things that we want to kind of talk to you about with regards to you, Evitel, because as people know, you've got a new alt on the way.
I do. Oh, yeah, I do. What's this one gonna do? Well,
Yes.
Annie's the tank. We've got a healer.
Okay,
so
well, it's going to be deeps then.
Nice.
So that's enough now for Final Fantasy dungeons.
Okay,
but
wait.
we do need another one for WoW dungeons.
Okay,
that's
so
the thing.
this one's gonna be melee. Yeah, I can feel it.
The amount
I
that
can
it's
feel
kicking,
it.
genuinely, actually, I think
properly.
you might be right, to be honest. And obviously, it's due in the new year, and I don't want to be rude, but you are getting massive now, and Annie is reaching terrible 2s and stuff like that. So what does that mean for you at the moment?
So so you guys are going to see a little bit less of me. I mean, not.
What do you mean less of you? There's twice as much of you.
There's more space. No, so basically, I'm not going to be doing segments on the Weekly Reset for a while. We'll see how things pan out after this little person arrives.
But you will still be here for sofa bits like this, where we both definitely sit on the sofa.
Exactly.
And
This
chat.
is definitely. I'm definitely on the sofa.
And you
right
will be
now.
here. You will be here for
intros.
Weekly Reset, comedy intros, like we definitely had in this episode as well.
Always. You will see me on stream. I'm pushing forward with Heaven's Word. Just finished 3.3.
And you'll still be in other videos and stuff on the channel as well.
Exactly. So
it's just the Weekly Reset is that regular thing, which is quite hard to keep up with sometimes.
yeah, you're not going to see me as much behind the desk. Also, in part because I don't think I can fit behind
It's
it.
true. The table's
the
bulging
table's
underneath.
Very small.
There are practical considerations. Yeah.
And you might see me somewhere else.
Oh right, yeah. If you're thinking to yourself, no, if only there was somewhere where we could see more Evitel.
Yes.
Basically, just telling Taliesin why he's wrong about stuff. The good news is you can, because we've got a new sub-channel called T&E Talks. There'll be a link in the description below. There's no videos on it at the moment. We've got footage for 2 videos recorded, which I'm editing together, and they will be both going up, as soon after this episode of the Weekly Reset as we can possibly do.
Yeah.
What is T&E Talks, Evitel?
So T&E Talks is basically us talking about anything else that isn't video games, like media, pop culture, anything we watch, anything we read.
I think it's mostly going to take the form of TV shows and movies, really, with books, the odd book and stuff thrown in.
Yeah.
And maybe just some cultural stuff, just generally, happenings for smaller videos and things like that.
We want it to be pretty open. The thing is, we have a really sick new set for it.
I worked incredibly hard.
It looks so pro. It looks very podcasty, and it's just us having a bit of a chat.
The episodes are structured and edited, and they're deep dives rather than first impressions a lot of the time.
Exactly.
So the first video that's going up is a 2-hour dissertation on Squid Game and its meaning and themes, and so I guess they're essentially very long cinematic analyses on this channel.
Exactly.
But
the two of us in conversation about it.
Two of us in conversation and about things that aren't WoW cinematic. The second one, which will be up hopefully very soon after that, is going to be on Dune. Ooh. The new movie Dune. And that one looks like it's going to be about 2 hours as well. And then this week we're planning to record an episode on sex education, the Netflix show, and I want to do an episode on Free Guy, but you don't really want to.
I don't want to.
We're gonna have a discussion. We're gonna have a discussion about that. Let us know in the comments below. But if you want to go and subscribe to that channel now, so that you know exactly when the video is released, they will be coming out this week before our next video on this channel probably. So get on it and see what you think. Maybe you'll hate it. Maybe you'll like it. It's a sub channel. It's a mini channel. It's never going to be as popular as this one, but it's just nice for us to do. It's nice just to talk about other things. Sometimes.
It is, and it's nice for us to sit down and talk about stuff, because we have a child, we're really busy. It's often the only time when we do actually get to sit down and talk about things that we like.
To be honest, us talking about Dune was the first chance we'd had to talk about Dune together, and we both had our own ideas, and we both done a lot of research, and we'd structured it together, and we knew what we were going to be talking about. But most of what you said was stuff that this is the first time I was hearing.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's all go at the moment.
It is.
We just thought, we've got a baby, we've got another baby coming. We're just not busy enough right now. We need to just give ourselves some more work. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason I went for a haircut, was just to make my life harder, because it was just too easy, right? Hey, it's growing in.
Nice.
Yeah, it's growing in. I had the Proud Boys on the phone the other day asking me for my the number of my barber. They were like, saw your fatty haircut. Can you give us the number of your barber?
Just from one angle where it's a bit there's nothing and there's something, and then you're I've seen that haircut before.
If 9.2 hasn't been announced by the time you watch this, give us your predictions for 9.2 in the description below, and when you think it's going to happen, because it looks like honestly looks like the PTR is coming out so soon. I'm so excited.
It has to.
But thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. Over 2 channels now, which is pretty amazing. Thank you. You're genuinely the reason this channel happens.
Seriously.
Without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel and 2 hungry babies. That's what I'm saying. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Zerith Mortis. Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone thinks is going to be it doesn't exactly, I think that's literally why they cancelled BlizzCon, was because the idea of Ian getting on stage and going, and for 9.2 we're going to be going to Zerith Mortis, and everyone just oh. Hey, look, I bet it'll look awesome. Cheerio.